Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, Linda Anderson here from Linda Lou Creates. As always, thank you for joining me today. I lost track of time, so I'm running a little bit late. So hopefully I can pull it together and show you these fun cards. They feature several of the online exclusive stamp sets. Some are brand new, some have been in the online exclusives shop, and I just wanted to show them off to you. Figured some masculine cards are always in need of those. And I want you to just take notice of something. There is not one drop of pattern paper on this. So that is so odd for me. Hey, the main featured stamp set is this one, Feathered Flight. I just love it. I think it's perfect for masculine cards. You can stamp it, you can color on it to create your different colors for your ducks. Anyway, I'm going to show you a little bit of everything. So let's get started. I'm actually going to start with this one right here. So the color palette I'm in love with. I love the teals and the blue-greens that are in this one, along with a soon-to-be new favorite of mine, the pecan pie. So card base, pool party, top folding as always. That means it's 11 by 4 1/4. That's my favorite. Inside, I stamped a couple more of the ducks, and on this 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white. So instead of putting that away, let me keep it here, because this is also unlike me to go directly to my card base. Usually I like to add some additional layers. So this one's going to be quick. I have a piece of Pretty Peacock, and this is 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. So let me go ahead and get this adhered down to the center of this card base. However, I picked a glue bottle that is not going to work for me. So let's try this one. Told you I was running a little behind, so losing track of time. So I did not get a chance to check my glue. All right, so let's go ahead and just eyeball this right down the center of this card base. All right, next, I went with, let me bring it in to show you. It's called Scalloped Contours, this die set. Love it for all of these different scalloped dies that are within it. So I used this one that not only gives you the scallop, but it also gives you like this piercing around it as well. I'll hold it up and let you take a peek at that. So this is what I die cut out of pecan pie. So you can see that piercing in there. So what I wanted to do was put something here in the center, still allow that piercing to show. So I cut another piece of pecan pie, and this measures 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. Now let me show you. You can see that it's embossed. I used another new online exclusive embossing folder set, and this one is called the Fun Patterns. So I thought I would go with the one that's the triangles, or the diamonds, excuse me, as opposed to the floral, since I wanted to kind of keep it more into the masculine theme. So I am going to just go ahead and adhere this to the center of that big rectangle, scalloped rectangle here. And this, yes, tone on tone. And it just adds, though, that fun texture, visual texture then, of with that embossing folder. So that's what was fun with that one. So let me go ahead and adhere this down as well. I already have all of my dimensionals on the back here. The other option is to adhere this big one straight down to the card base and pop up the embossed layer. So that's an option too. So let's go ahead and get this one down. Okay, so here's one of the ducks. I just stamped it on some basic white. I have a bunch of circle punches, and I just punched that out then. Pecan pie ink, I don't know if I said that or not. Then I have here, I'll show you here in a second, the stamp set that I got the sentiment from, stamped in Pretty Peacock ink. Again, a couple circle punches, and this is a Pool Party, then the bigger circle in the back. So that stamp set or bundle is the big, or excuse me, that the Big Hugs comes from is this perennial postage then. So that's right here. So I have this on this stamp set and bundle rather on another card. So let me just show you real quick then. Here are the dies then, the postage style of dies. So you're going to see that on another card. So using those dies as well. So, okay. Now, before I get the bird down, I have, this actually is from the new, again, online exclusive. This is the natural burlap, polka dotted burlap ribbon. And it's gorgeous. I love it. So honestly, you could use it either way, but I did like the polka dots then on this. This is from the online Latte Love, not sure, the coffee themed suite that's now an online exclusive. This is the ribbon or the trim that comes within that. So all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this down, and yes, I'm actually going to use some glue on this. So I have an idea as to where the bird's going to be. So I'm just going to put that down. It is seeping through a little bit. It's going to dry and clear, so I'm fine with just using some liquid glue here. Especially since this is kind of rough, and then the surface that I'm adhering it down to, the embossed one, is kind of rough as well. So I'm trying not to overlap the ribbon or the trim. Just would make it pretty thick, I believe. So now, there we go. I'm going to put my duck down onto that. Let me get the glue off my fingers. Now, you see I have dimensionals on the back, but not fully on this back of this circle. That's because this portion without the dimensionals is going to hang off of the pecan pie rectangle here. So I just don't want to have a dimensional there, and it would then get pushed down, not lay straight across the card. Same thing here with my sentiment. This is where it's going to overlap on the circle that is already popped up. So I'm not going to put dimensionals there, but where it hangs off of that circle, I am going to put some on there. Okay, let's get now when I made these, believe it or not, I made them when Celebration was still going on, and I had these opaque gems, faceted gems then available. So if you had got these as part of Celebration, pull them out and use them on the cards, because I used them on all three of the cards. So it has the pecan pie, it has the close enough to Pool Party, so go for it. So I always like to go, well, I shouldn't say always. I generally like to go in threes. So let's do that with this card. And there we go. Here's our 3 gems. And our card number 1 is done. Okay, so let me move these out of the way. I'm going to bring in card number 2. I moved it over. Here we go. So here's the card that I'm going to use now, or to make now. So a couple, again, still doing the feathered flight. However, you can see this fun background. It is called Drizzling Droplets. Can't say that one too fast. This is, again, another online exclusive. So this is stamped in Smoky Slate ink onto this piece of Smoky Slate. that measures 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to adhere it down to my shaded spruce layer. And that's again top folding, and on the inside I stamped the duck again, and my sentiment comes from Heartfelt Hexagon. So that's where the inside sentiment is coming from. So I'm going to show you what I did to get the colors on that duck. But first up, let's go ahead and adhere this smoky slate down. So see, again, no pattern paper. Very, very odd for me because I do love my pattern papers. All right, what I'm going to stamp on here, this piece of white, is 2.5 by 3 3/4. So let me find the stamp that I want. Here is the duck, and I used markers for on this. So I have crushed curry, I have pecan pie, and I have shaded spruce. And I'm just going to move a few things out of the way here. The pecan pie ends up being the majority of the duck, and all I'm going to do, sorry if I was out of frame there for a moment, is just run my marker over this. All right, so that's mainly the feathers of the bird. Now I have to flip this around. I know it's upside down, but now I find the beak in the crushed curry, and then his head I actually did in the shaded spruce. So that's why I went with the shaded spruce card base, just to bring out that little bit of the green then that I used there. Now, whenever you're done with that, now because that pecan pie has been on there for a little bit longer, you want to kind of make sure it's still, kind of re-moisten it, so to speak. So to re-wet it, all you do is huff on your stamp. So just, and let's go ahead now and see if we can get this stamped down. I'm always curious as to how it's going to turn out. See? How awesome is that? I love then adding the colors that way. So pretty fun. So I already have this now attached to the mat of pecan pie. That's actually 1/8 of an inch bigger. So that means that it is 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. That's what that pecan pie layer is. So I already have my dimensionals on it. So let's go ahead and get this adhered down to the card front. So I'll bring this in and move it up a bit. So there is our duck. Now I was referencing that perennial postage bundle with the previous card. So here it is. I did the die cut and the sentiment on it. So we're talking Pool Party cardstock, Pretty Peacock ink. Let's go ahead and get this adhered down. So once you get all of this one really goes fast. So use what you've got, and you can just cut out a rectangle for this sentiment. You don't need to have that die set, but boy, doesn't that make it fun. Now I have a bow, linen thread bow that I went ahead and made. I am going to get a glue dot and just kind of roll it up and put it down right up here, up at the top, and set my bow right in there. Whoops. Sometimes this linen thread has a mind of its own on the direction it wants to go. All right, I'm pulling out these opaque faceted gems again. This time I'm going with the more Pool Party flavor of these. So let's get one down here and then 2 up here. Don't be afraid to use your embellishments if you feel like you have sort of an empty space in your design. pop in your embellishments then. That does kind of help to bring the eye, pull it back into the center, which is then your duck. So there we go. Card number 2, done. So let me bring back the last card. So this is the one we're going to make. I am going to just show you, I guess I didn't really pay attention to the duck when I colored it, but I gave him a green beak. So, you know, that's how that one happened. I even did it with the one, my sample as well, but I am going to demonstrate it with the giving him a yellow beak. So let me find my stamp. Here we go. So because the stamp shows then the ducks are in the water, I also brought in my pool party Stampin' Write marker. So I just like to use the brush end, and you can sort of see on the stamp what is water and then kind of where the duck begins. Now, if your colors overlap each other, it is not a big deal. That's the one thing I like about like nature type of stamps, that it's okay to have your colors kind of mesh a little bit. You will not run into a problem with that. So here's what I'm going to do now. So I want to try and give both ducks a yellow beak, which is what I did not do on any of my samples. So let's first color in. This is the pecan pie. I'm coloring in all of the bodies of both ducks, trying to avoid the beak on one duck, and then of course then the head and beak on the other duck. So it might not show up very well on camera, but there are some like lines of sorts, something visual for me to use when I'm coloring on it, to be able to then get get yellow into his head or things like that. So I can sort of see where I need to color then. So all right, that was the yellow, was the crushed curry. This is the shaded spruce. There it is, the huff onto that. And let's see what it looks like now with the yellow beaks. There we go. So now I have the beaks in the yellow, and love it. Love it, love it. But I already have this one die cut out. I'll show you that in a second, and adhered to a layer of pool party. So let me find it. Here we go. This is the bundle then that I used. So that's the stamp set, but here is the die then that I used for the birds to cut them out. So that was called, Everyday Details. Now the pool party that's underneath is just a little bit bigger than what the white die cut is. So this measures approximately 3 3/8 by 2. So you might need to cut a little sliver off to get, in case it's a little bit big, but that's the approximate size there. So I have those two adhered together and dimensionals on that. Now, one more thing we're going to do here, and another stamp set, online exclusive stamp set that I can show you, is textured timber. So this is the one that I used to create my background. So correct, you do not need to always use pattern paper. I tell myself that, but I still pull it out all the time. So you can let your stamps kind of do the work for you as well as, or in place of, I guess I should say, of the paper. So I have the round tree stump. It is rather large, but we're going to go ahead and use it. A lot of times I like to start my backgrounds. You can start with them in the middle. I like to go in the corner. for some reason, and I feel like I can kind of work my way around that. So here we go. Never be afraid to go off of your cardstock as well. I am not going to get a lot of these on here, of the stamped images, but enough to give you that idea of that, the timber in the background, the wood. So I think I have room for maybe 2 more. So you either make sure when you're creating a background that you rotate either your paper or your stamp so it doesn't look like a pattern. You want to really make it as random as possible. Going off, like I said, is perfect as well. Let me just get this last one on. Now, usually that was crumb cake ink, by the way, that I used. I don't think I mentioned that. Usually I use a variety of sizes of stamps when I create a background, but this time I only wanted to show off that one rather large stamp, like I said, that you can still create a fun background with it. Crumb cake cardstock, 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to adhere that to a piece of pecan pie. And that one is just 1/8 of an inch bigger, so that means it's 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So let me adhere these two together. So here I am getting my layers, which I love to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece of shaded spruce. I just wanted to bring that green out one more time. And this one, excuse me, measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. So that one's going to go across like the upper third, just to give a little color in the background for the ducks. And the fact that we used the shaded spruce marker for the one duck, I feel like that color is really going to pop then by putting this down. So, okay, let me go ahead and get this down to my card base, which I will show you in a moment. Lost Lagoon. This is becoming quite a new favorite of mine right there. So I find myself pulling for that quite often. Between that, the pool party, the pretty peacock, those 3 colors, love them together. Now let me show you now on the inside. I stamped this in pool party, and then the birds and the pecan pie. And again, that all comes from that feathered flight stamp set. Both of these. Okay, so here I have my ducks. Like I said, I would change it up next time to have the yellow beaks for the birds, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one. You can see I was playing around with, this is one of the other images, what you see on the back here, from that textured timber stamp set. And I was trying to make it look like water, so you don't have to make it be wood. So that was kind of what I was initially going, and then kind of changed directions on that. So, all right, so here we go. Just on a strip of cardstock, I stamped the thinking of you that is from the feathered flight. Let me grab it again. So I used that thinking of you. I love using that for my cards as far as on the front. That way on the inside, I can make it anything I want. Thinking of you, happy birthday, get well soon, just wanted to write a note on the inside, various things like that. So you can certainly take it in any direction. Now I am having this be then flush with the card base, so it does overhang a little bit. So sometimes I like to have things overhang. It just gives it some interest when you look at it. So here we go, back to these gems again. And let's get a couple of those on. So, and one more. And there we go. So there is card number 3. So don't hesitate to check out all of that's in the online exclusives. Like I said, there was recently a new release there, lots of fun stuff. And I looked at it before the new release, and I was like, when did these pop in, these ducks? So things get added, and then it's a fun surprise when you look through it. So at any point, just, on the search bar, hit online exclusives, and it'll take you right to it. So lots of fun stuff there. Well, I had fun sharing this with you. I hope you had fun watching it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye now.